Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I see a couple of my favorites. Happy New Year, Anne. Good to see you. And Rosita, same to you. Welcome to the class. Welcome to this. It's a class on life. So that's for those of you that are seeing this and either as a recording or through YouTube live streaming. My name is Peter J. Redding, and I am the founder of CoreSELFtech. You'll see the CoreSELFtech.com website down there noted in the bottom third. I'm also the founder of Coach for Life Institute in the USA, and we've been training professional coaches for the last 26 years. And this is Tuesdays with Peter. Welcome to Tuesdays with Peter. So if you need a little Peter energy, or you need a little shot of adrenaline in terms of looking back into your life, you've found the exact right place. This is a life affirming, life giving, life embracing channel, and I've been doing this for a year. I think this celebrates the final week of a full 1 year of doing this every single Tuesday, I think, except for one that I missed in August. But welcome to the channel. Today, the topic that I'm going to be talking about is self-care. And the importance of self-care, the issues that go into self-care. If you are looking for someone else to take care of you, this is not the channel. This is not the program for you. It's so logical for me that I am personally responsible for taking care of Peter Redding. I am. As much as I would like sometimes to have that, you're not taking good care of me, you're not respecting me, you're not doing this or that for me. It's just, blowing into the wind. It's meaningless. Ultimately, every human being on the planet is responsible for themselves. Now, I'm not rejecting, I'm not saying that, young babies don't, need to take care of themselves, or the elderly, or the indigent, or the injured, or the hospitalized, etc. But by and large, my projection is, I'm going to say 90%, 95% of the world's population are capable of taking care of themselves. The question is, are you or not? You're expecting somebody else to treat you properly. There's somebody else that needs to do something with you, for you, that you could and ought to be doing for yourself. So one of the favorite, I just love Dr. Seuss. Dr. Seuss is a pseudonym or pen name for Theodore Geisel, who wrote all the Dr. Seuss books. Oh, the Places You'll Go, Green Eggs and Ham, and so on and so forth. And one of his classic lines is, "You are you." It's truer than true. There's no one on the planet, and he says, there's no one alive that's youer than you. So it's like coming back to myself, taking responsibility for myself. So at the beginning of the year, and kind of towards the end of last year, I did a lot of self-reflection on, okay, so how did I take care of myself in 2021? How do I want to take care of myself, and lay out an agenda that takes care of my personal needs, my bodily needs, my health needs, my brain needs for 2022. So I'm willing to share any and all of that with those of you that are here live and in the inner circle on the Zoom room with me right now. I'm also like to ask you to start thinking about what is it that best served you in 2021 in terms of taking care of yourself. And again, that could be on a physical plane, that could be on a mentality or an intellectual plane, a learning plane, emotional plane, spiritual plane. What did you do that best served you in 2021? And then the follow-on question to that will be, what else can you do? What do you want to do? What do you want to continue perhaps? What do you want to build upon? What do you want to put into place in 2022 in terms of your self-care? Now, some people talk about self-care, self-mastery, self-management, self-development, all kinds of self. The bottom of all of those things, I believe, for me, my experience, for myself, as well as my clients, as well as my students worldwide, is self-care. It can be so basic. So let's start with the basics. Basics for me is hydration. I started having this huge jug of water, basically attached to me wherever I go in the house. And I've had that for the last, I'm gonna say 3 years now, maybe 4 years. Because hydration is one of those basic things that a body needs. And you can go to, your doctor's charts and saying, okay, for your body weight, how many liters or quarts or ounces of water do you need to consume a day for this to function? Pretty basic. So hydration. The second one for me is sleep. If I don't get 7 hours of sleep, I don't function real well. And I'm talking about sleep. I'm not talking about going to bed at midnight and getting up at 7 o'clock when you've worried for the first 2 hours in bed, tossed and turned about the day's issues or the problems or the things that you're going to face when you wake up, and you really only get 5 hours of sleep, not 7. I'm talking about solid, restful, rejuvenating sleep. And for me, it's 7 hours. If I'm worn out from a previous week of exertion or travel or worrying or what have you, I may need 8 hours of sleep. I may need 9 hours of sleep. But by and large, every night, 7 hours of sleep, good to go. Physical also includes my consumption. I'm not recommending this to anybody, but for me, my weight started continuing to go up and up and up, starting at around 50 years old. And I didn't have control of it. And so I think my peak was probably 236 pounds, 238 pounds-ish. And I went on a keto diet back about 4 years ago now, which is a low carb, high fat kind of diet. Not religiously, and also with intermittent fasting. So I try to consume foods between the time of about 1 o'clock in the afternoon till about 8 or 9 o'clock at night. And then the rest of the time is mostly fasting. Again, hydration, oils. I'll drink oils and things like that in my coffee. But those are the two things that have now been able to stabilize. I brought my weight down, I think at one point to about 195. I've been maintaining a weight about 205-ish, plus or minus 2 pounds, basically, for the last 3 years now. And so I am so incredibly delighted with the consumption of good foods, organic when I can find them, intermittent fasting. I still have too much chocolate. I found some chocolate substitutes, which are pretty good, that are low in basically no sugar, sugar-free. But those are the three basics: hydration, water, sleep, and what I bring into my body, food. And so that has served me really, really well for my mental capacity, my physical capacity, my basically not sick, basically prescription free. And so thank you, God. Thank you, God. But again, the kind of the underpinnings of all of this is consciousness. So I bring a real level of consciousness to all three of those things, and mostly every single day. Because if I don't do that, nobody can do that for me. Marcia can't do that for me. My doctor can't do that for me. I have a brother and a sister that are both in the medical field. They can't do that for me, and so on. Yeah. There's some supplements like D3, I think it is, that I take now for immune system kinds of things, all natural. And beyond that, that's it. That's it for me. Now, it's going to be different for each of you, and I'm not here to give you medical advice. I'm not give you dietary advice. There's some things around keto that can be dangerous for those that take it to the extreme, and you go into a ketoacidosis, so that is not very healthy. So I'm just saying, find out what it is that you need that supports your physicality and put a plan together to do that. You have the capacity to do that. Mental is another huge part of my self-care. And so I am so curious about life. I'm so curious about all kinds of things. I was sharing with somebody the other day that, I probably spent 15 hours on YouTube learning about flying cars, the status of flying cars. And there are flying cars that are working right now that you can, land on the street. You can bring the wings up and it will fit into your garage. I didn't know that. And so some very interesting things that are going on in the world. I'm totally curious about woodworking. I've watched probably 300 hours of woodworking YouTubes in the last year about projects that I'm interested in. I'm interested in the world of professional coaching because I am a big part of that and have been a big part of that world for the last 25 years with the International Coaching Federation. If you haven't listened to those YouTubes, there's, I don't know, 30 or 40 hours of that I've talked about specifically in the last year that are spectacular in terms of what are the competencies of a professional coach? What is a professional coach? What are the ethics of a professional coach, and so on. So I continue to dive deeper and deeper into how do you ask better questions? How do you notice what the client is not saying as opposed to what they are saying, and following through on those kinds of things? So there's always an edge of learning. Someone a long time ago shared with me that the more masterful you become in a subject matter. Okay, so let's take woodworking. I have this much knowledge about woodworking because it's basically a hobby, right? It's my pastime. It's my man cave. It's my way of getting away from work. But the more I learn about woodworking and the tools of woodworking and the techniques of woodworking, okay, so now I have a circle, if you will, that's this big. The edge of learning is more. It's like I'm beginning to know what I don't know. So it's like, I have a curiosity about this part of my learning that has taken me to this point. But what about what's next? How do you do that more masterfully, and so on? So the more masterful I get, and I would propose that you get around any particular topic, there's actually more to learn. There's more facets, there's more aspects, there's more nuances, there's more information, there's more development, evolution, in that field. And to keep my mind, I'm a visual guy, so I love YouTube. If you're not visual, then read. If you're an auditory, then listen to audiobooks. But there's there's like this capacity and a vivaciousness within me of wanting to learn more and more about all kinds of interests. Okay. So that's my mental capacity part of it. Spiritual, there's so much I don't know about spiritual. And the world of spirituality, the world of meditation, of yoga, of kundalini, of energy, of ethereal, of Akasha records, I mean, just on and on and on and on. I've spent a lot of time in India and with people that are from India over the last, well, it's been 12 years now. You know, like I've been there, I don't know, 25 times, 27 times up until COVID stopped me from traveling there. But there is thousands of years of knowledge about the spirituality of man. And so again, there's an intrigue about that, and there's a curiosity about the nuances of meditation. I've just started dabbling in that in the last 3 years. Heartfulness is an organization. It is based out of India. It's been around for, I think, 50 years. So if you haven't checked that out, heartfulness.com is spectacular. And they have all kinds of classes and tutorials and practices around meditation that I gravitate to. There's several others that I know are available, but that's just one that I was introduced to back 2-3 years back, and have a huge gratitude for the work that they're doing and continue to do. Emotions, again, am I in control of my emotions? I believe I am. Now, I wouldn't have said that 10 years ago. You made me angry. You made me upset. You made me question myself. You made me blah, blah, blah. All judgments about them having the impact on me and my emotions. And I actually said this one time when I was completely oblivious, which wasn't that long ago, by the way. I would be okay if, what was it? I would be okay if you didn't make me angry, something like that. Now, when I say that out loud, it sounds so preposterous now. It's like, you know, who are you? You're like, you know, a Neanderthal, Peter. Because the truth is, someone can't make me feel something without my permission. Now, again, up until 37, 40 years old, I was unconscious, and it was all their fault. They made me angry. They made me question myself. They made me feel like I didn't belong. And it boils down to, what piece of that do I still believe is true? Again, it's an inside job. It's an inside job. So what part of my mental health, my emotional health, my emotional well-being, my emotional self-care am I focused on or not, or to what degree? So all these different things, we have a model, it's called the fifth quadrant. We have 4 quadrants of physical, all right? So there's the body, right? The intellectual, the brain, the mind, the thinking, the planning, the learning, etc. All that's in that kind of quadrant. The emotional is the feelings, you know, the energetic feelings that I have on a day-to-day, moment-by-moment basis. And finally, the spiritual. Okay, so the 4 quadrants of mind, body, spirit kind of mentality, the holisticness of a human life. So I'm not a big fan on let's have new habits, or let's have new affirmations at the beginning of the year, because they typically die off, or I forget them, by the time it's February. But in terms of self-care, that is a higher level of aptitude, a higher level of commitment, a higher level of attention. And to where I am today, incredibly happy, incredibly healthy, incredibly engaged with the world, still basically full-time work in terms of doing my life's work. Each one of these things add to my capacity to continue to do what I'm here to do. And so I feel that it is a sacred contract with my Creator that I need to take care of what I have been endowed with by honing my skills, by being conscious, by taking responsibility for my own self-care. Okay, so that's the premise for today. Any questions around that? Or again, I'm going to come back to the basic questions of, so what do you do? How do you do this? How do you navigate this? How do you take responsibility for this? Or are you unconscious around it and still blaming my family, my upbringing, my culture, my gender, my nationality, my family unit, my community for not treating me properly? And how much of that are you willing, or have you let go of? I think in a healthy, constructive way, and taken on the mantle of my own self-care. Yeah. So welcome to the rest of you that have just joined. I see that Larry has joined us. Happy New Year, Larry on YouTube, and Prikshit. Delighted to see you. Oh, it's fantastic. Fantastic. So who'd like to share? Who'd like to share about maybe an observation that you've had, or a commitment that you've had about your own self-care from, and it could be 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Hopefully you did it earlier than me. Who would like to share about your concept of self-care? And what do you do? If you're willing to share, one aspect of that. And yeah, if you can unmute yourself.
Thank you very much, Peter. I see these announcements, and I always would like to be here, but today was like, it was just going, come on, you need to be here. And I thought, okay, I'm gonna assume there's a really good reason, and here it is, self-care. Thank you. I have been a very part-time caretaker this year, which is new. It's a new role for about the last 11 months. And that's really shifted a lot, has domino effects on all. And I found particularly lately that saying no, or saying, instead of that, I can do this, have really been a lifesaver for me. I don't know if lifesaver is the right term, but it feels okay to me when I run it through that filter of, what can I say yes to? I want to say yes to as much as I can.
Yeah.
What do I need to say no to, so that I can turn my attention to things that will rebuild that energy? So I just wanted to throw that general topic out.
Love that. Categorically love that. Yeah, and that's a muscle that most, I'm going to say women, but it doesn't just, it applied to me. I can tell you that for sure, of saying yes to everybody. Yes, because I'm a people pleaser, and as you know, but I'll share it publicly, is I was a flaming codependent for most of my life, where by God's divine right, I am here to serve you and all of your needs, even if those are the ones that you can do for yourself. No, I'm here to help you, right? So to say no to a request is a challenge, and it can be a very new skill that is real iffy in the first part of that, to be able to say, no, I can't do that for you. I'm not able to do that for you. I need to decline that request, is a spectacular, I believe, self-care principle that gets overlooked by a lot of people, myself included. Not so much now, but it still creeps in. So I have to be reminded of that. So thank you for that reminder, Ann. But for those of you that can't say no, I would really implore you to explore that and say, you know, you're going to be loved less. You're going to not be accepted. You're not going to fit in. You're not going to placate. You're not going to, because it changes the dynamic of relationships. When a codependent starts saying, no, you have to do that for yourself. What do you mean? You've been doing this for me for 25 years. And it has to change now for both of us, not only for my mental health, but basically for yours as well. Categorically love that one. Now, being a caretaker is a different kettle of fish. Caretaker is taking care of someone that can't take care of themselves, quite literally. So it may be an invalid, it may be the elderly, it may be someone that's sick, it may be somebody that does not have the mental capacity to, you know, navigate the street, you know, safely, whatever. We're not talking about that piece of it. And I think that is so incredibly, it takes compassionate people to be proper caretakers. But caretakers is very different than a codependent. And to make that choice to be available for that individual or that family unit or that hospital ward, or the indigent that can't take care of themselves and need a hand up, God bless you. I think you're doing God's work. Personally, I believe that. Who else? Christina, you have your hand up. What's on your mind as far as your own self-care?
Good morning, Peter. Can you hear me okay?
I can, loud and clear, coming through.
Okay, excellent. Well, first I'd like to say thank you, Ann, for sharing what you shared, because it's absolutely on point. And something I was going to share is saying my self-care involves me being honest with myself. What am I capable of giving? And with me, it's a daily basis. If I don't care for myself, I'm not able to give others and help support others. But I'm going to blow your mind with one thing. I started to type it in earlier, and then I said, no, I'll see if I'm going to share it. You know what I do differently now, Peter, than I haven't done for 40 years?
I can't wait. I'm at the edge of my seat.
I wake up with the sun.
Wow. Wow.
And it's brilliant, because for years I didn't get enough rest. I was exhausted mentally, physically, emotionally. And now waking up when I want to wake up with the sun is just an incredible feeling of freedom. And it just makes the whole day start better for me. That's my self-care, as well as learning to meditate. Meditation is big.
Wow. Wow.
So
congratulations. Yeah,
thank you.
There are circadian rhythms that anybody that's done any traveling are familiar with this. So you get there and you're, quote, jet lagged. Now, part of it's physical fatigue, but part of it is you're just literally on a different part of the planet. And so it takes a day, 2 days, 3 days, depending upon, you know, your circadian rhythms. And it goes into sleep patterns as well. Now, I'm not an expert in this area, but I've had the impact of going through that many, many times when I travel literally halfway around the world, and have to get used to a time zone that's 12 hours or 18 hours different than mine. So the honoring of that, and the honoring of being in tune, the energy of the part of the planet that I'm in, getting up with the sun. I think it's stunning, absolutely stunning. And to be able to consciously plan to do that, go to bed at the appropriate time so that you can get up with the sun. Hip, hip, hooray for you, Christine. Well done. Love that one. I think sleep is so underrated. I'll say that in an I statement. I abused my body by not taking proper care of myself earlier in life. I'm healthier now. I've said this many, many times. I'm healthier now at 73 than I was at 37. I was exhausted. I was spent. I had no concept of hydration, proper eating, sleeping. If I needed to work 18 hours a day for 7, 8 day, 7, for the whole week or for the whole month or for the whole year, that's what I did. Now, my employer loved I would love that. Thank you for recognizing my excellence, right? It did nothing for my physical well-being. And so there were abuses that I did to my body because of that. To honor this temple that I am housed in, that God gave me to have the mobility and the mentality to do what I need to do my life's work, is much more reverent for me right now, and becomes more and more reverent for me as I get older. And I see some of my fellow classmates from university days 50 years ago now, or high school 55 years ago. And those that are still alive, there's a lot of them that are not very active. Now, I have no concept of what they did for terms of self-care. There's other maladies that take place. So this is not a judgment in any way, shape, or form. But for me, I know what I need to do to take care of myself now physically, and to honor that sleep, and to give yourself the gift, Christine, of waking up with the sun. God bless you, girl.
Thank you, Peter.
Yeah. I'm interested in other comments in terms of, have you reflected on this recently? Do you have things in place that support you, your self-care-ness, if you will? Any strategies that you have put into place for yourself for 2022? I'm going to check my chat box over here and see if Chella's got anything for me. I'm not seeing anything in particular. Okay. Yeah, Anne.
I actually block time out on my calendar for myself 2 days a week. Tuesdays, I don't know what days they are. I've just started Wednesday, Thursday, Tuesday, Wednesday. But one of the days I have yoga, and then I get a massage.
Oh,
Not every week, not every week,
oh, I gotta get back to that.
90-minute massage.
Woohoo!
Okay, and she comes to my house.
Yep,
Okay?
yep,
So,
yep.
get the picture. So that's one day. The other day, someone comes and helps in the house and does a variety of things. And then I just block that day out, because they're my days for the home, and they're my days. I know every couple of weeks I've got those blocked out. And it felt very nice to identify the time and block it out, because I do use an electronic scheduler. So really what I'm doing is saying I'm not available, or I'm only available to myself on these days. So this is a little bit new in 22, but I also got all the work in there. There's more work in there than there has been, more flexibility to go be a caregiver. And I get a couple of days, you know, I'd say at least 6 or 8 a month. It's just me.
Amen. Hallelujah. Amen.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. I've done, I keep honing it each year. So back 10 years ago, I said, okay, so I want to work for scheduled things, mostly scheduled things. 3 months, take a month off, 3 months, take a month off, 3 months, take a month off. So I have kind of like a trimester partition of the year, which means that April, August, and December, I still work, but it's more, like, as much as I can, I don't schedule classes in that time, or I don't schedule my coaching clients in that time, to be more flexible, I'll say. This year, I'm taking it one step further. I'm saying, okay, so I want to have the ability for most weekends to have a 4-day week, 4-day weekend, if I choose to take a short trip, if I choose to see a family member, if I choose to take a little, sojourn to, find some exotic hardwoods up in Pennsylvania or something, which I've done once in my lifetime. But I'd like to have more time to do that. So consciously with my electronic scheduler, it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are my work week. Right. So I see my clients during that 3 days, almost always. There's a couple of exceptions that take place. I typically, I'll have Monday and anyhow, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are work days. So I'm going to a 3-day work week. At least this year is a transition. We'll see how it goes. We're what, the 3rd week of the year. And I haven't quite mastered that part of it yet, but scheduling wise, again, self-care, what do I need to regenerate? How much time do I need to do that? Can I plan on taking off 9 days at 4th of July weekend to go out to Texas and visit family members that I haven't seen for a long time, etc. So I love the idea of being really conscious around my calendaring. And again, it's saying no. I haven't quite mastered that one completely yet, to be honest with you. But can we do that on Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday, as opposed to doing it on a Friday, or opposed to doing it on a Monday, or opposed to doing it on over the weekend sometime? And trying to channel those kinds of activities into that. And we'll see how it goes. But again, I love the idea of, is it my schedule, or is it everybody else in the world's schedule for me? Again, there's a, balance that up a little bit. Love that.
Peter, I just want to add, I tell coaching clients that a significant portion of coaching is them getting themselves on their calendar. Taking the step, get yourself on the calendar, schedule it, it's your time. And that's the foundation from everything else. And so now I'm living that as well. So
I love that. I love that. One of my favorite questions to my clients is, have you scheduled your retreats for yourself this year? Again, because nobody else does that for you. Have you noticed? So you have to do that for yourself, or if you have an executive assistant, then have him or her do that for you. But how often do you need a 3-day weekend just to do nothing? Even if you don't travel anywhere, but you just want to lay back and watch I Love Lucy reruns, or do a work project, or do something, go visit a family member. Yeah. Love that. Again, I think that's a huge part of self-care. Thank you, Ann. Christina's going, woohoo, congrats, Peter. Love that, Ann. Happy face to Ann. Yeah, Christine's getting all kinds of tidbits here. Who else? What are you doing for yourself for 2022, or continuing to doing for yourself in 2022? Charles, yeah?
Good morning, all. I've enjoyed hearing from Ann and Christine. I don't have an electronic scheduler, hallelujah, these days, and I am my primary coaching client, so I'm going to have to flunk myself. The most amazing discovery so far this morning is that I have been intentionally and consciously out of balance. And I've been facilitating the wheel of life and practicing it for decades, but I've been in a cycle of productivity, realizing that if I tweaked a few more things, found a few more elegant ways to be of service to others, especially around the world of dealing with challenging situations that some of us are facing globally, that life would then be easier. And I was doing okay with this conversation. I was coaching myself pretty good until Ann started getting mean and talking about massage and yoga. You started talking about 3 months off. So I'm going to have to move from this point forward and either hurry up, get a few more of these pieces in place so I can have that balance again, or just rejoice in the knowingness, like Ann, I pay to be somewhere else every Tuesday morning at this time and have been for months. But every time when I think I'm going to go somewhere else, do something else, stay in my prayer and meditation mode, Peter, send something out. And, I just know I have to be here to be fed and to offer anything I possibly can. So thank you again, sir. I forgive you.
Well, thank you for taking care of yourself, because
Yes,
you're a handful.
Whoa, thank you.
Oh, it's yeah, I mean, this is, I think it should be the #1 priority job for every human being. I mean, can you imagine if every human being, again, for those that can take care of themselves, do take care of themselves. Can you imagine the world would be a better place overnight, rather than, demanding that somebody else take care of them when they're perfectly capable of it. Now, they may have not taken care of themselves for so long in their life that they don't think they can anymore. Oh no, I can't make a decision without your approval. Whoa, 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 whoa. Not my job, man. Not my job, especially as a professional coach. I have an ethical obligation to not give you advice. You have to figure this one out for yourself, and you have the capacity to do that. So let's go through it. Yeah.
Well, for me, the physical, mental, emotional, psychological, spiritual are so intertwined that's how I've rationalized that if I exert a little, if I work a little bit longer, then I'm going to be able to free up all of these other factors. And I try to stay, if I have to choose one area, it's a spiritual study. It's like you, never-ending process. Life is a university for successful living, and the place to start is CoreSELFtech.com.
Amen. Amen to that. And that's kind of what I think Rajita is getting at here in her comment. Let me just read it out loud here for everybody. Self-care for me means staying aligned to who I am, staying authentic to myself. I absolutely love to be my own lover and consciously follow routines which nurture my spirit, mind, body on a day-to-day basis. For me, that captures it all. And it's, again, one of my overriding themes of, am I being authentic to myself? So again, I'll give you one of my Peter Rudding famous quotes. You'll never go wrong being your authentic self. Never. Not to someone that's arguing with you, not to someone that wants you to be something different, but being true to my authentic self, or my core self, takes a commitment. Am I being true to myself today? Am I being true to myself in this relationship? Am I being true to myself in terms of how I'm treating myself? Am I being true to myself when I can say no to another human being that is asking me to do something for them that they could certainly do for themselves and ought to be doing it for themselves? And so it just, again, it's the foundation for me. if I'm trying to be somebody else, I'm wasting time on that as opposed to being myself, my authentic self. So thank you for that, Rajita. Beautifully articulated. Self-care is a life skill, in my view. Yeah, exactly. Rajita, or Vivek's coming in here. Truth, Rajita. Self-awareness is the beginning of it all. Happy face. Yep. So what else around self-care? Any other commitments that you want to say out loud? It's a public forum, so if it's a private one, keep that one to yourself if you want to, for your own confidentiality. But is there any other things that's kind of bubbling up around the world of concept of self-care for anybody?
I'll take a go, Peter.
Is that Vivek? Yeah, Vivek?
Yeah. Well, I have apparently went about all of this in the most lopsided manner possible some years ago. Instead of taking time out for myself from what I was doing, I just stopped everything. 100% stopped everything. And it comes with its own challenges, obviously. But I didn't let go of that. I just stopped. And then gradually, I think after about 3 years, I started, so to say, scheduling time for things that I would allow in. So it was all right. I have 100% time for myself. And then I'm willing to give 5 or 10% of, my time to whatever it is that I'm driven to give it to, or inspired or compelled. By compelled, I mean by sort of a universal energy that you're in a place where something needs to be done and you don't know that it's your own ego trying to say you should do that, versus you're the only person there who may be able to deliver some value to that. So, you get compelled, you get pulled in. So that's what it's been. So I was a generous guy all my life, but now I'm very stingy with giving out my time. But I've become generous with myself. So for me, care, self-care and all has the first prime aspect of that is solitude and quietude for myself. And that can be in a place where there's raging noise outside. But I found I've come to a place where it's just me. And as much as I can reduce the environmental noise, I do. And what I can't, I realize its existence in the world, but reduce its relevance in mine.
Thank you. Yeah, I've been a witness to that. I'm going to call it radical self-care. Just check out of everything that's not germane to me, my authentic self, my life's work. My observation is, for my own life, is the more that I can block out the outside world in terms of demands on me of who they want me to be or what they want me to do, allows me more time, a quieter environment for me to do my work, do the work that I believe I'm here to do. The other part of the environment that triggers for me, as you're sharing your story, Vivek, was media. I'm not talking about social media right now, but you could include that in there, but television, radio, the bombardment of advertising that, billboards, wherever I go, there's messages as to, what I'm supposed to want, how I'm supposed to vote, how I'm supposed to think, why this is bad and you don't want that, their opinions. And I made a very conscious decision. Now, this goes back probably close to 30 years ago. I stopped getting the newspaper. I consciously do not watch evening news. I choose not to be, my word, polluted with all the things that are going wrong in the world, not to be rose-colored glasses, oh, life is wonderful, etc., but to block out the bombardment and the focus on all the things that are not going well, which is what the news does 24/7. Very few stories in there where the puppy dog got saved from the water well. Or some act of kindness that would have gone unnoticed had not the news team caught that 5-minute act of kindness. There's an old saying. I was educated in Concord, Massachusetts, and Concord, Massachusetts happens to be the home of Henry David Thoreau, and great philosopher of his time. Emerson was another buddy of his, quite literally, lived at the same time, overlapped. And they wrote a whole bunch of documents, Common Sense, On Walden Pond, and so on. But there's a Thoreau's quote that's attributed to him that said, I picked up the newspaper and read through it, and it reported all the things that went wrong in Concord and the surrounding area. Right, there were accidents, somebody died, someone got shot, someone that got this, that, and the other. And he said, then I picked up the newspaper a year later, and it was the exact same stories, but it had different names. It's like, interesting. Yeah, it's the same stories. This went wrong, this didn't go right. This guy's a radical. This guy is, off his rocker. They're not doing the right things in Congress. They're not doing the right things in the government, whatever. And all right, so there's two components to that for me. One is blocking it out, choosing not to be in the atmosphere of this, all these things in the world. The world's going to hell in a handbasket kind of stories. And opening myself up to be in that quietude that you speak to so brilliantly, Vivek, and you've been a huge influence in that for me, of having a space and a time to connect with the grandeur of life, to connect with the magnificence of all the things that are brilliant, awesome, wonderful, going well, improving in life. And there's a precept that we've had from the very beginning of our coach training, that what you focus on expands. Certainly not a new concept. Every culture that I've been in interacted with forever has had that. What you focus on, you get better at. What you focus on, you learn. What you focus on, expands. So the question, and again, the consciousness of this environment of what am I feeding my senses? What am I feeding my eyes, my ears with, my mentality with? If I'm swimming in a soup of negativity, if I'm swimming in the soup of all the things that can go wrong in the world and are going wrong in the world, and I see then that the totality of life is not working, then I become very negative. I'm impacted by that. When I can block that out and see the broader picture of, 98% of the world is actually operating pretty well. Husbands and wives, or wives and wives, and husbands are kissing and loving them and sending them off to work, right? They love their kids. They prepared lunch for them. They get in a car or a bus or a train or walk to school, and they get there safely. Some don't. I got that, right? but 98% of the world is operating from a standpoint of love, of compassion, of caring, of moving in the direction that they want to be moving and learning what they want to learn. And that's the world environment that I choose consciously by, again, blocking out that which does not serve me. Wow. Okay. So that takes us, we got about 5 minutes remaining here. Any other thoughts, any other ending thoughts or commitments that you want to make to your own self-care this year?
I'll go again, Peter, if I may.
Yeah, yes, please.
Those years ago, when I shut down everything, it was, it was just, it wasn't saying no to many things. It was just one no, and it was to everything, so I didn't have to repeat myself. And then, of course, I allowed a thing in or two. But from last year, which I would like to continue, this year, in terms of the approach to it, is the no has got discarded. That's one. The second is the observation. No, not the observation. The comment or judgment of good, bad, right, wrong on any observation, that my senses have picked up. That's also got, majorly discarded. And so, there's a sense of life is a self-fulfilling, mechanism or prophecy. And instead of saying no, because even to that extent, I become a participant. That means there's a reaction that the world is still getting from me. I'm still responding to it because I'm saying no, or I'm saying yes. So I think that beyond the no is to listen and see. And I think everything, just wants to express itself and be heard. And eventually everything and every human and every event or incident begins to realize whether this guy is my customer or not. Can I make a sale or can I not? And if you're just unmoving, that phenomenon goes away. And so the decision to stop with the no was a strong one, and I hope to continue that this year. I mean, somebody can come to your door and try and sell you something. If you don't respond, he'll go away, and then he's likely not to come back. And he'll probably tell another salesman, don't bother going there. The guy's just deaf, dumb, and mute. Nothing's going to help. Nothing's going to work. So you're present, which is the largest aspect of our coaching work, is to be present. So you're present, but minus any sense of limited self. I like, I don't like, I accept this and I reject this. Just sit there like a tree. Something will come, something will go away. Makes no difference. Life continues. That's what I'd sort of like to be more in that place this year.
That's beautiful. And it's interesting that Arshana just put something in the chat box as you were sharing that. Actually, before you started sharing that, I would like to go limitless, practice limitlessness in true sense this year. And Charles came in, yes, limitlessness. It's kind of like a pregnant void. And I'm here. I'm here to do what I'm here to do. And it's kind of like ignoring everything else. Taking in what serves me, taking in what nourishes me, and allow the circus to continue around me, because that's serving somebody else, but not necessarily me. I haven't quite got to that stage yet. I think both Arshna and Vivek are ahead of me in this arena, but I'm not going to judge. And that's the other thing is that's my commitment. I'm trying to judge less this year. And then I find myself judging that, and then I go, oh, okay, so I'm going backwards on that one. So that's still a quandary for me. It's that Chinese puzzle that has the fingers, and then the more I pull, the more tight it gets, type of thing. So I'll leave you with that metaphor. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being on my planet. Thank you for being the awesome human being that you are and bringing what you have to bring to the world. Come back with me. I'm going to be here every Tuesday talking about one of 3 topics: self-mastery, coaching mastery, or learning mastery. And here's to a great, awesome, fantastic 2022 for everybody. God bless you. Namaste. Stay safe, everybody.
Namaste.
Bye until next week.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye. Thank you for an awesome session today.
And always.
Always, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.